And we're live.
We are live. Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. I can't help but begin every video without telling you the date. So thank you very much for tuning in.
All right,
And I'm going to go and put this link up here right away. And I'll pin that. So, yeah, I was I was working today and thinking, you know what, things are lining up that I'll actually make the live stream at 7 o'clock tonight, and then saw a message from Bob that he's got a pressing matter that he won't be able to come on to fill his Tuesday night slot. So I said, well, I'll just fill in, and look who followed me in. Sawmill Charlie. Sawmill Charlie, everybody. So
the water meter man.
I left the water meter man. Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always want to give credit when I get a good idea. I always want to give credit where credit is due. So
I think, I just got to notice that Phil Kent put us in the No Life Beekeepers. Let everybody know we're here tonight.
Oh yeah, thanks, Phil. So what's going on, Charlie? What's new?
Well, I started feeding this week, and I let's see, I'm on my, let's see, I'm on my third tank full of sugar water with Apis Biologic in it, rocket fuel. And I went out there yesterday, and most of them I had to completely fill up. I had one or two hives out there that, like one of those hives behind me there, that actually had about 3 inches of sugar water still left in there. Hey, Mike, Catherine, and Keith. Hey, Tatron, and hey, Jack and Danette. And anyway, I'm like, okay, why is it not sucking it down? Maybe it's because we've had a lot of flow this year, and they packed it away as far as natural honey. And then I went out there today. I had fed them yesterday, had a little over 20 some gallons of sugar water left over. So the nukes I sort of topped off, and then I had about 5, maybe 6 of 10 framers that actually were empty, and some of them are a little bit of water, liquid in there, where I went ahead and topped them off too. But that's pretty much where I'm at. Second, hey, Phil, I'm past my second mite treatment. I had started out in late July with Apivar. Went 6 weeks. Labor Day weekend, which was, I think, the 2nd of September, we finally got a 2-week cool spell where it was 70 degree, well, between 75 and 70 and 80 degrees tops, along with low humidity. And the Formic Pro went on full strength treatment, 2 pads per hive. And for 2 weeks, I also use it on my nukes. Of course, now my nukes are doubles, and they are set up just like a normal size hive, with a regular bottom board with a wide open entrance in it, and not like a dial entrance or anything like that, and where they get plenty of air. And I put 1 pad per hive on that. All of them are at least 5/5. Some of them are 5/5 deeps with a medium honey super on top. And hey, Brian and Russell. And I had one where, you open up a satchel and you got 2 pads of Pro. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with this extra pad? I don't want to waste it. And I'm like, well, let's take a chance. So I had 5, a deep 5 medium, a deep 5 medium, and a medium 5 framer of honey up there. So I put a pad on top of every deep 5 frame of where the brood was in that nuke.
So
And
you
I
might
made, you know,
you likely won't have any mites left, but the question is, will you have a queen left?
they're all up and running. I
Yeah,
got
good,
lucky.
good,
Got,
good.
got lucky and all that stuff. So I got through all that, and then, like I say, I use top Hive feeders on everything. I do the man lakes on my 10 framers, which will hold 4 gallons, but it's divided in, 2 gallon
I've
slot on
used
those.
those, and I like those,
Well, yeah,
really.
they got the
The only thing
screen
I
and
didn't like about those was if I had maybe I put too much syrup and they didn't use it up and I had to, take it off, is just pouring it out. It was a little bit of a pain to try to get that poured out into another container. But otherwise, I really like those. Boy, they ever take feed fast with those things.
that's right.
Um, and I did notice though, but that if your lid isn't just spot on and there's any little crack and you're
You got to
above
drown,
that
drown.
feeder, you've got sweet bee soup in no time.
True.
Yeah.
I had one there like that. It had an old lid on it, so I replaced it, put a brand new lid on, and I had a lot of yellow jackets in there, and I did have some honeybees in there. So I put a new lid on it, and that didn't quite cure the problem. So then I strapped it down. The rest of them, I keep the straps off, and it's fine.
I wonder if that Reflectix foamy that we use would really
It would do
curtail
that.
that.
Would be that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Another way of fixing that problem is go to the hardware store and buy what's it called? It's got a sticky back and it's foam.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
weather
gasket
stripping.
around
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
around a door,
Yeah.
about a
Yeah.
quarter
Weather
inch
stripping. Yeah.
weather stripping,
We
quarter inch
we're very
wide.
familiar with that in this country.
Well, anyway, you could put that around the top, and that would have reduced that problem. And well, I like those. I've had in the past the license plastic feeders for 10 frame. And like you said, if you get them full and they're done feeding, now them license will sit there and twist on you a little bit, and spill things. And I went with the Man Lakes because it's a regular wooden box with the plastic insert. They have the screen up in the center. I don't, and the newer one, they originally came out, they didn't have it fixed, but the newer ones, they have like a dental
Those
molding in the
little
bottom,
fingers on the bottom.
little
Yeah,
fingers up there to
just
hold that
slip that.
screen up. And that was a major,
I think it was. I never had trouble with that because when I got them, I kind of looked at that design. And I thought, I don't know, and so I was really careful the way I bent that screen and put that screen in there and screwed it down and stuff. I was really careful to get that just right so that it
a lot
wasn't
of
going to leak
people,
because I
um,
could anticipate that was going to be a problem.
yeah, a lot of people put caulk and stuff around there.
Yeah, silicone on the bottom, but
And
those little fingers that they put along the bottom, that was a solution.
well, I didn't buy any until later years to where they had come up with that solution.
Perfect. I
So
remember the first ones I bought didn't come with a box. Like you had to supply your own box, and it wasn't even a medium; it's a shallow. So I ended up having to cut some of my boxes down to use the things. But then later on, they come with a wooden box.
hey, Matt. But so anyway, I switched over to them because they're, you can sort of pour them, and then instead of me filling both of them up, and I have had some out through there that where I had some extra syrup this year, I filled both sides up and they had, pretty much taken it down. But having only one filled, you can pour better into, let's say, a bucket. And
Yeah,
hey, and
yeah.
top,
If one side's empty, then pouring it out isn't an issue.
it's not as bad.
But if you got syrup in both sides, it's a pain. Have you ever used those Cerasil feeders, Charlie?
No, mm-mm.
Yeah,
That's the blue
people who
ones.
use those, yeah, people who use those just absolutely love them, and I don't really get it, but I've never used them. So
I think they're quite expensive.
they are expensive. And, judging by my experience with that Black Man Lake one, I can't imagine I'd want more in a feeder than that. I
And
mean,
Man Lake ain't cheap anymore. I just those
I
suckers.
have a story about one of those. I bought a whole bunch of those and I put them on. This was my first year or two beekeeping, and I put them on and I filled them all up with syrup and put the lids on and went away. And I came back, I don't know, days or a week later or something to see if they used all the syrup, and all of them were empty except one, and they hadn't taken any feed at all out of that feeder. And I thought, well, that's really weird. Um, and it was a long time, and I was looking at that feeder, and they hadn't cut the slots in the plastic under the screen. there was there was no way for the bees to get up to the screen and to come over and get the syrup. So
Right.
I took it back to the store and I said, you got to give me a new one of these.
Yeah, brand new one today.
Hey,
The
Mike.
start.
Hey, Bert. Hey, Charlie.
It's $42 for one of them suckers
Oh,
today.
wow, really? So maybe the Ceracells aren't really all that expensive after
Wow.
all, because I think they're in that area.
Ceracells are
Um,
cheaper.
are they cheaper?
I just got 10.
Yeah. What are they, about 30-ish?
I bought them without the wood because that's not a problem for me.
Just use an old box, right?
Yeah, an old box or cut down one or just make them.
Yeah.
But they can feed from the center and all four corners. So if your
See,
hive's out of level, they're always empty.
I get the corner thing because they're not flat, right? They're kind of like this, so the syrup all goes to the corners, right? Isn't that how it
Yes,
goes?
yes, but also if your hive's out of level, the other
Right.
feeder will have a pool in a corner where the bees can't get at it.
Right. So is that kind of like, are there any other distinct advantages to them? Have you used them a long time yet
I've
at all?
had them for a couple years. I don't use them much, just when I need to feed a lot. If I have a light hive. But I don't know. I have both the type you were talking about before and that. I
Yeah.
just
I
I don't take a lot of time leveling my hives.
I don't either.
Yeah, so in that way, it works out good.
Well, I
I
mean, when it comes the feeders, I mean, it depends what your scale is as far as how many hives you got, the style of whether you got telly lids or whether you got um what do you call them? Commercial lids, Brad?
migratory,
Migratory, that's it.
like what I use here.
And then, Brad's using buckets. I mean, when you get 100 or more, I mean, you got to go the cheapest way.
Well, then the buckets are costing me $15 with the screened feeder lid installed and everything. So it's definitely, that'll be half of what a Ceracell costs probably, right?
Yeah, but
Um,
I
And
also
I don't like the buckets though. I don't like
I
the
run
buckets.
2 deeps and I don't usually feed unless it's a bad year.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
feeding's big here. I got to feed 5 gallons to everything.
Yeah.
I don't like the buckets. They leak a lot. Um, and the bees propolize that screen a lot too. I've had them. I'll go after a week or two to check, and all the pails are empty but one. And you look at why, and the bees have propolized that screen, and the syrup won't come out of it. So the only thing I can do on the spot is get another pail, pour the syrup into the other pail, and put it back on the hive, and hopefully the little guys don't propolize that one up. And then now we've got a propolized screen, and I think sometimes pressure washer will take that out. But so yeah, pails I don't really, and because I have my new feeding system with the long feeding hose and the nozzle with the pump, hive top feeders would work for me in that regard. Just up the lid and fill the
that's
syrup.
that's what I do. I raise the lid up, I kind of turned, well, the ones out here today, I had certain ones I needed to feed. So I flipped them upside down to mark them. And I scooted the lid over as like a cover where just enough for that nozzle to get down in there and keep the darn bees out of there along with
And
the
that's the thing, when it gets really bad robbing season, it's hard to keep the bees out of the pail. And I'm just dealing with a, hardly a 2-inch opening, I think. So I don't know, you lift the lid on a hive top feeder and it would be full of bees instantly. Yeah, so there's preference for the Ceracell feeder. I know Corey Van Loon down in Ontario. He has, I think, either exclusively or he has a great preference for the Ceracell feeder. He really likes it. I would wonder in my situation, sometimes it gets a bit cool, and I'm wondering about the syrup going to the corners. Are the bees going to, if they're clustered a bit, are they going to go out there and get that feed? Is what I would wonder.
But, well, there's also a big opening in the center.
Yeah, but once the feed gets down, right, it's a bit conical, right? So that the last of the feed goes to the outside. Is that not how it goes?
I don't.
I don't think
I
so.
think
They're
it's
not
pretty
pitched.
flat. I think it's more so if your hive's out of level.
Yeah, I think so
you
too.
think it's flat?
I don't know. I can go out.
I think it's flat. I think if, like you say, if the hives pitch one way or the other, it'll go to those corners.
I see. I see.
Care of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the same thing would apply though, right? Because it's never going to be level unless you're really careful about that. These feeders on the Paradise polystyrene hives that I have, they're pitched. They have a sloped bottom so that it will always they feed from the ends of those. Of course, I have the six frame size, and so the bees feed from the ends on those, not in the middle at all. And the floor is sloped both ways, so the syrup will always use all of the syrup out of that feeder.
Yeah, Tom and Melissa say it's flat.
Oh yeah, okay. I guess I was thinking about the Paradise ones that I have. I thought the Ceracells were kind of the same. Thanks for that.
But what I was going to tell you. Oh, I'll wait till Mike gets back. But I don't know. A lot of people around here, the backyard beekeepers, I'll put a quart jar on there, and I'm like, and Mike, he went up and helped Michael Palmer here a couple of weeks ago. But I listened to Michael Palmer years ago, and he says, when you put a small quart jar like that, or let's say it's a half a gallon jar, in so many holes, you're restricting the flow. So you're going to have, let's say, 200 bees drinking at a time on there. You put that man lake feeder in there, you got 1,000 bees.
That's right.
Coming over there, sucking that down.
They take syrup so fast out of those man lake feeders. I know. It's really quite.
So, I've told people, I said, look, maybe, I don't know if whatever, I had heard this, or maybe it's my philosophy. Hey, Alex, that you have to switch the bee's mind from bringing it in and using it right away and feeding the brood and all that, and it's coming in at a slow rate with that quart jar. Whereas when you put that man lake feeder on there, it's coming in like a waterfalls, and it's coming in so fast that the bee's mind and set is, the way I think about it is, hey, we can't drink all this stuff right now. We can't eat it all. Let's store it. And you get them to store it. They got the mindset of storing it and everything. What you got, Mike?
Carousel feeder. They're flat.
They're flat.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's got, I don't know if
Yeah, I
you
guess
see
I
it.
was thinking of the Paradise ones that I have.
See, it's got a center hole and
So my other kind of wonder about them, they've got a lot of little plastic bits.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, do you think that's going to last a long time?
I've had a couple of them for 5-6 years. You don't ever really do anything when you snap them in and they
Yeah.
come out if you want to clean them.
And cleaning would be a really big benefit because the pails, I just hate cleaning them because you really shouldn't take the lid off. So now you're cleaning this 2.5 gallon pail through a 2-inch fill hole, and that's no fun at all.
I bought
It's really hard.
I bought myself just a small electric pressure washer.
Yeah, we actually
Oh,
were using that this year. Works good.
It's only about 1,800 psi's.
Yeah, that's about what we're using.
And
Small
it works
cartridge.
good on the frames. It also works good on the buckets, everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's the first time we've used a pressure washer. We just use just a handheld kind of a garden sprayer
Yeah.
thing before, and it gets lots of water, but it doesn't really have that much pressure.
Yeah, the one I got used, it's only got it looks like a 1/4-inch line. It
Yeah,
doesn't use a lot of water, and
yeah, it
I
doesn't.
actually, when I set this house up, I added on and off switches for hot water gate valve, so I
Yeah.
can run hot water through it.
Yeah, I did the same. I've got 3 spigots in the back of the house, depending on what you want. So Ziploc bags, yeah. Mark Miller often mentions that he uses Ziploc bags. I'm just wondering, Ziploc bags, about volume. You know, I need to feed 5 gallons of syrup to these colonies. That's a lot of changing Ziploc bags, I think. I don't know.
Well, that's
Does
Matt.
anybody
I think
speak
he's
to
only
that?
got about 2 or 4 hives.
Yeah, okay.
So
So I found that, was it last year? I think it was last year. I had just a pile of nukes, and I can't feed those with my 2.5 gallon pails because they're too small. They're physically too small. So I have to feed them with either a gallon pail or a half-gallon jar. And I'll tell you, for 2 months, all I did was fill jars and pails because I couldn't get the feed in them fast enough, right, with that small container. So, you know,
I
I'm
have
just,
I bought over the years a licensed 5-frame feeder, for their licensed insulated hive, but they fit on a 5-frame wooden hive.
oh yeah,
And they have a kind of a flange out. That's where those big, thick, wide sides come down on that when you snap the lid into it. But they work fine. They hold 3 quarts of almost a gallon. And like you say, though, I was out there today. They had suck it down that much. Usually, if you wait till tomorrow, it's completely dry, and all that kind of stuff. But it works well. I mean, of course, like I say, I got a pump like you got, and all that. So, Mike, how did you make out with Mike Palmer up there, helping him out?
Oh, we spent 2 days up there. We had a blast. I gotta switch back over to the other one. Yeah, we had a good time.
You got whatever you needed to help him out with?
We actually worked on his double nukes. And we just help him box them up. He needed to add a 3rd box to them all.
Okay. So you added a 3rd story to them, and then what, tarp?
Yeah,
paper?
he actually, we lifted the top story and threw drawn comb in between to keep them from swarming.
Okay. So what was it? He had a broken arm or something, or?
He got hit by a lady and the steering wheel broke his wrist.
Really?
oh.
Yeah. So
I'm glad you said steering wheel because I thought must have been a tough lady. But
no, she ran.
it was a car crash.
And it took his work vehicle out.
Okay.
Then I believe he ended up having to have surgery and pins, and so he had very limited use. And then his two main guys gave their notice, so
Oh,
he
boy.
lost his two full-time helpers. But New Hampshire put on New Hampshire and some of the other ones in Vermont put out links and offered to give people gift cards for fuel to sign up. There was a sign-up sheet to go help them, and a lot of
Oh,
people
nice.
went up. Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and he's got so much knowledge. And
Yeah. Yeah. He was up here at our convention one year. I talked to him after his presentation. He's a real interesting guy. Like you say, is just full of knowledge, and he's willing to share. I thanked him for that. I said, I watched you on some videos and stuff, and thanks for sharing all that, because those of us who are just starting out and whatnot, we need that gold from you guys. So thanks for going through that effort to share your knowledge.
So was he able to go out there and like supervise, say, this is what I want done here and that kind of stuff?
he went through a lot of the hives themselves. We just did the grunt work for him.
Okay.
Helped him out the best we could, and he explained a lot of stuff on why he does it. I've met him before. I went up and caught queens with him once. That was a blast.
Hey, Randy.
But I was thinking, before I left, I said, he hasn't been able to maintain his yards. So I grabbed my Makita double battery weed whacker and a dozen batteries and brought it with me, and I did 3 of his yards up nice for him.
Oh, nice. That's very
And
nice.
my friend Gina
Come
helped
up
him.
and weed whack mine sometime.
Well, if I had known I was going to do it, I have a walk behind DR.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
deal.
yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That thing's fantastic. It'll mow small shrubs down.
What did she do? Try to merge colonies on a 10-frame split.
Hey, Norm, good to see you. Thank you very much. That's very encouraging. Let me put that up here. So, tried to merge 2 colonies on a 10 split into nuke with a queen excluded.
I didn't quite understand what he's trying to do there.
But I got too late from work. Turned dark really quick. Okay. Merge 2 colonies on a 10 split into nuke. So I think they're talking about what I would maybe call a double 5. It's a 10 frame box divided in 2 to make 5 on each side, I guess, with a queen excluded, I assume. Tried to merge 2 colonies with a queen excluder.
Was he talking about two 10 frames and put a queen excluder between them, and then like you did?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe post another comment and clarify that.
Yeah. Hey, Alex.
Good evening. How you guys
Hey,
doing?
Alex. So I didn't get any extracting done today at all. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. I worked my home yard here and put another round of formic acid on.
How are
What's
you
that,
liking
mite?
that, Brad?
Oh, sorry. What's that, Mike?
I said, how are you liking that? I've never seen it done with the meat pads before.
Yeah. I like it. It's really easy. It goes pretty fast. I can do my out yard of, say 20 colonies in, I don't know, 45 minutes or something. It's very inexpensive.
I like that.
It's about 25 cents per round. So on a single, 4 rounds on a single cost me $1. which is, very attractive. The guys I talked to, who've been doing it for years, who've been advising me, a couple of friends from association, I specifically asked them about, people with Formic Pro, they complain about losing queens. And I said, what's your experience? And they said, never lost a queen. And I don't know, but my theory, my theory with, hey, Doug, my theory about that is Formic Pro is, if you talk about the 2-pad treatment for 15 days, you've got a certain amount of formic acid in there. And I'm sure I've asked Tom how much is in there, and he's told me, but I don't remember how much there is. But I imagine there's more than what I'm putting in, which is about 30 milliliters. And so I'm just thinking that the initial gas from Formic Pro might be, a bit more harsh than just this little meat pad, because they say that this meat pad is totally gassed off in 3 to 4 days. And I think that was kind of my mistake. I waited 7 days to redo it. I thought, well, I'll do it every Friday in September. And I should have tightened that up and done it, twice a week kind of thing. Because after 2 treatments, so 2 treatments week apart, my mite load actually is, my mite washes are higher. And you say, well, I'm giving everything away from the vlog this weekend. There'll be nothing to watch. 3% higher. But there's a diminishing amount of sealed brood. So there's going to be more sporadic mites anyway.
Yeah, it should go up a little before it goes down.
Yeah, because I'm talking to a lot of beekeepers, and that's what they're seeing. They're having successful treatments, but their mite washes are going up. So I decided I'd do one today. Well, I did it yesterday, but I got rained out, so I finished up today. And then I'll do it again on Saturday, perhaps. And then in another week or so, it all depends on extracting. Then I'll get the vaporizer out and start doing oxalic acid vaporization, because I know that's extremely effective. It just is not so effective when you have brood.
Yeah, that's all I'm using now. I'm just doing multiple rounds of OA.
Yeah, for treatment, I used both. One of my apiary received the apiary, and the other one got Formic Pro because I didn't have time to extract everything, so I had to leave the honey, but I had to treat. So purchased Formic, treated everything, and I'm done harvesting. I'm in the feeding phase. I got over 30 boxes of honey. A few of them were half full, but let's say 30. 9 of those are deeps. So I got a lot of honey.
So we have a clarification on our question from earlier. I want to merge 2 small colonies to winter them for better survival with a queen excluder and newspaper to feed them as one big colony. So you have 2 queens in there? That's what I'd ask. Is that what you're doing? I would not say, I mean, I don't know what kind of climate you're in, but my climate, if you're wintering outdoors, queen excluder is the last thing you want to have in your colony. It's just a great big heat sink, especially if it's a metal one. And also, queen excluders could kill queens because the cluster could move.
Well, I would say
above a queen excluder, and the queen gets left behind and she freezes to death. So I don't think a queen excluder is what you want in that.
Maybe a double screen board.
That's what I was going to say, Alex.
Double screen board, yep.
You could use the heat from one or the other. It's either put all the bees in there with one queen or double screen board if you got to keep both queens.
Even a propolis mat, if you don't have double screen board, propolis mat, it's like a queen excluder, but the slots are too small for the bees to go through.
And they're usually plastic, so less heat sink problems.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite anyway, but I don't think queen excluder is what you want.
Oh man, I got my hands on some those Appy tablets. I was kind of taken aback at how heavy they are.
Oh yeah, they're very dense, aren't they? I broke them in half to put in my 6-frame nukes. I wasn't sure if I want to put a whole one in there, which would probably be okay, but and they're hard to break. I score them and then snap them on the side of the hive, and they're hard to break. Hey, Todd.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Todd.
Hey. So what's up, Doug?
Not too much.
You got
Harvest is done. Bees are being fed. Apiary is on.
Nice. So how's your mite situation? I'm not hearing some very much good news out there. You okay?
I haven't done a wash yet. We put the apiary on. It'll be coming off here probably, I think, next week, and we'll do a wash then and
Yeah.
see what's up.
Good.
And then we'll move into vapors after that too.
You normally just follow up in October with some vapor. It's
We
pretty
use-
safe and effective, so why not, right?
Yeah, we find vapors are probably our best control, really.
Yeah. In October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that very thing for the past like 3 years and have incredible results, like zeros and ones every time.
Yeah.
So how many treatments will you do, or how long of a time do you have to do treatments as far as with vapor?
You tell me what the weather's going to be, Charlie, and I'll tell you.
I just looked at our forecast, and it looks like you're going to have until the middle of November to do that.
Yeah.
We're not looking at a single digit daytime high until Halloween.
Yeah, we're going to get through October and haven't had a frost yet.
We usually have snow by Halloween.
Yeah.
That's not good news. The bees need to shut down. They need that cold weather. If they keep flying until early to mid-November, they're not going to make spring.
Well, we find if you get a frost, they'll shut down for sure.
Yeah. I need cold weather so I can move my bees home.
Well,
I like to move them in the cool weather so that they're just hanging out inside and it's not an issue.
Yeah, we got 1 yard to move too.
I think David's it's 30 mils per pad, not the total treatment.
The Formic?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. 30 per pad, and the doubles take 2 pads. So you put them right on top, kind of at the back of the box on the top bars. And so there's 2 pads there with 30 mils each, and then on the singles there's 1 pad.
Brad, have you decided how many doubles you're gonna winter outside?
Yeah, that was decided for me because I just used the kind of the dead outs, the feed boxes that were left from last year. And, well, I kind of lose count, but there's about 35, 38, something in that range. So there's, it's quite a few for an experiment. Go big or go home, right?
So are you gonna get the snow plow trucks to bring you a couple truckloads of snow and
Yeah,
dump it
I
there
might
so
have
you
to. Looking at the forecast, I might
and
need
dump them up on top of the hives?
to get a snowmaking machine from the ski hill
Yeah.
or something.
I didn't think they would even have one up there in your area. Snow making machine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes there's not much snow. It's rather dry in this part of the world.
But yeah.
So I'm hoping that those mite levels drop, and it was a beautiful day for working outside. I miss that working in the honey house. It's just kind of a hot, noisy, windowless building. I don't even know when the sun goes down. I come outside and suddenly it's dark, and but working outside again is really nice. Looking in some of the colonies and seeing the bees. I had to work, and again, I'm giving away the vlog, but yesterday I went out to my most remote out yard. It's about 10 miles away to put formic pads on, and smarty pants, I roll up in there and stop my truck, and then I realize, oh, I forgot my veil. So, it's 10 miles home. So I tuned up.
That seems to be a problem with you Manitobians up there. Ian can't remember his smoker, his hive tool, or anything. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all have bee trucks. I mean, there's this thing called a toolbox, and you're supposed to be equipped with 4 smokers and
I have in my other
6
out yard.
hive tools.
See, this is a new out yard, so I haven't really outfitted it the way I should have, and I'm that that's just me being stupid. My other out yard, I have a tote there. It's got a spare veil. It's got a spare hive tool. It's got smoker fuel. It's got matches. It's got everything I need. I don't think I have a spare smoker in it, but usually the smoker I'll remember. So anyway, I had to get the smoker tuned up and change pads on. Well, what is there? There's only 18 colonies there yet, but I just had to be very, very careful. I think it's done once.
Well, I will have to say I watched your videos, and you open up a hive, and your bees are totally calm.
Yep.
I mean, my bees out there feeding today. I mean, I'm fully suited up because they're wound. I mean, the robber bees are wound up, and they're everywhere, around me. And the farther out you get towards them in hives out there, they seem to get a little bit more meaner or something. I don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, and there doesn't seem to be too much terrible robbing here right now, which is kind of, if there's a drip along the edge of a pail on a lid, then they're going to be, right on that. And they got into my solar wax melter somehow. I don't know how. So I had to leave the lid open on that and let them out. Because, they can get in, but they won't know how to get out. I don't get that. Bees are like that.
That's why your escapes work so well.
Yeah, I guess so. So Mark's got a good point here. When I've done formic in the past on a double deeps, I always put the pads in between the box close to the brood. And now, so you're likely referring to Formic Pro because, as I understand, formic application to a dry lock pad is not a registered treatment method in the Americas.
Nope.
So I'm going to assume you're meaning Formic Pro, which I think is correct.
He's in Tennessee, so yeah.
I think correct is that's where you'd want to put those.
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah.
I would think formic would be a good spring treatment here. Probably slow things down so we don't get bees leaving. And
yeah, it would be. Camphor. Yeah, April A4. I think it does have camphor in it. It's thymol and camphor and whatnot. Who knows what's in it?
Maybe that's why it off gases because of the camphor or something.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Interesting about camphor. So the blue curl that we have growing around here this time of the year, when you break a stem and smell it, it can be used as a smelling salt, but it smells like camphophenique, which is camphor. And I looked it up, and the Indians in this valley used to use it. They pick it off and I guess put it all around their bedding. It kept the fleas away. And so mites are in the same family as fleas. So it's kind of interesting. But that's all I have.
That's
Did
all
I
you
ever
got.
mention I have a lunar wax melter? Did I ever mention that?
You have. Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
have
don't.
mentioned that.
Mine's sealed up
Yeah.
pretty good. I don't get bees in it, so.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've never seen. I've had it used it a couple of years now, and I've never seen it get a whole bunch of bees in it. Maybe something happened, and maybe it does have a bit of that weather stripping around the outside. So maybe somebody chewed a hole in it or something. So they're getting in. But it was right full of bees, and I thought, oh, there's going to be right full of dead bees pretty fast. So I better prop the lid open. But it don't work so well when the lid's open. It doesn't melt wax at all.
32 above here tomorrow, Brad.
Oh my goodness. Not here, thankfully. I just put Formic on.
It was 38 here today, and it's that right now.
32. Conversion is 89 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, mine was
Warm.
That's pretty darn hot. for you
That's
guys.
pretty hot.
Over here, it's pretty
Yeah.
chill. It's like right now, it's 17 Celsius. I don't know.
25, it says 25, 28 Thursday. Let's talk about the weather.
That's 77 degrees. At the 82, that's still pretty darn warm.
Yeah, it's been a weird year.
Brad,
Mike,
I was-
how's your bees and everything? What are you doing with your bees now?
well, we had an awful drought,
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of rain right this week.
followed by torrential downpours. So there was really nothing for 'em for 6 weeks or more. And I went into my bees and they were starving. They
Mhm.
had nothing. I went around with 1 gallon paint cans of light syrup. I had 2 yard, my best yard last year. I didn't get a box of honey off it. It was awful. And I ran 2 gallons of light syrup, and then the goldenrod asters and knotweed came, and I had to go put supers on some of them.
Brian got an inch out there in Ohio. Hopefully that rain's coming towards me. And all that. My son, he planted about 40 acres of orchard grass behind me. In that picture, there's 30 of it. And well, that's not it, but that's where it's planted. And getting a real kind of a misty rain, not really actually droplets of water. Some of that in the nightfall, but mostly misty kind of rain, dampish, and just the right kind of amount of rain to hopefully get the grass seed up and running. But we've been dry for 2.5 months at least.
Brad, I was on the phone with Maxant the other day, and I asked him about your hive tools.
Oh, did you? I've been meaning to phone them. What'd they say?
They stopped making them because all the cheap stuff came out and it wasn't feasible for
No,
them.
there's got to be a price where they'll make those again.
Well, I happen to have one that's like brand new that I was thinking I could give up.
Did you ever get that other one
I
from
would cherish it.
Australia?
I did.
Was it any good?
I don't know. I haven't taken it out of the box, to be honest.
No,
That's a conversation for another time. But what I did do, though, I don't have it in the house here, but in my search for a better hive tool, I went to the dark side, and the only place I could find maybe a different hive tool than just the generic crappy Chinese one that we find in the stores these days was I ordered a flow hive tool.
That's what I'm
Believe
talking
it or not, right? And it's probably worse. I was trying to use it today for stuff, and it's so sharp I can hardly hang on to it. And the blade on it is so sharp you can't scrape the wood with it. It just gouges into the wood. I don't know how. I haven't tried to pry with it yet to see if it's strong that way, like a Maxant. I doubt it is, though. So yeah, it's it was a disappointment too.
Cut some
So
meat with
still
it
I
for
wait.
a while.
What's that?
Cut some meat with it for a while. Doll it up.
Well, yeah, I got to drag it around behind the tractor down the driveway back and forth, dull it up a bit. But yeah, Mike, like there's got to be a price, because I talk to a lot of beekeepers and they say, yeah, we need those hive tools back. There's got to be a price that they'll make those hive tools. There's got to be.
Well, maybe someone else will make them.
Well,
You would think if they're selling a regular hive tool for, what are they, $10 or so? The cheap ones.
well, see, this is the deal. Is when I started keeping bees, and I know everything's gone up in price today, but this is the deal. When I started keeping bees, the good Max and Hive tools were $14 in the store, and the cheap, crappy Chinese ones were they $8 or $9, and then so many cheap beekeepers out there, they were buying the cheap hive tool. And then Maxent decided they couldn't make hive tools anymore because they got run out of business by cheap hive tools. Well, guess what the Chinese hive tools sell for in the store here now? $15. So you're not saving any money on hive tools now. You're just getting a crappy hive tool. That's all.
I wonder if they could sell them for, let's say, $30.
I'd pay $20, $25 for those. Max and hive tool. Absolutely.
Well, what I'm getting
and
at
I know
is,
lots of beekeepers who would.
Obviously, the steel, it's better. It's probably a heavier and a better quality steel.
Well, it's tempered somehow. And it's also, I don't know how they do it. I think they roll it in some kind of a big cement mixer thing with some kind of beads or something to, to soften the edges.
Yeah, it's a deburring machine.
Peening, I think it's called.
It's got rocks, stones in it, and it goes and knocks the burrs off and stuff. That's how parts in machine shops are.
Because they're comfortable in the hand. You can use those and they're not going to injure you. Those Chinese ones, you let your hand slip on that thing and it slices you like a razor blade. So
some of these
Mike, you should have really pressed them. What's that?
Some of these blacksmiths that are making knives, a person should latch onto one of those fellas and get them to make a tool.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to make them en masse, right? Get a guy with a laser and cut a whole sheet of material out, and then I don't know, like what kind of material, what thickness of material. When you cut it out, then what do you do? Do you heat treat it? Do you what do you do? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked metal workers too, and they look at it and they go, well, I don't really know what this is made of. I don't really know how to duplicate this. So if Maxent's not going to make them, they should tell us the secrets so that we can make them for ourselves.
Maybe I'm going to be having surgery on the 4th on my elbow, so I'll be out of work for 6 weeks. So it's only an hour from my house, so maybe I'll go down and hang out with the Max people.
You
and
do that.
Drill them for you.
You tell them there's a Canadian who really wants those hive tools. You got to make some. You got to do it.
At least get them to tell you how to make them, like what kind of temper, what kind of steel.
Well, yeah.
I have friends with plasma cutters.
Oh yeah, finding guys like that around here, that's not hard. I could go to a dozen different places and say, here's exactly, thickness and makeup material, and this is what you do to it after you cut it out. That's not a problem. I just don't know that, and I don't want one that's, those Chinese ones. You go to pry with that thing, and it just turns into a banana.
The ones I got from Amazon was pretty good. Let's see if I can find it. It did, I've pried some pretty well glued together boxes and it never bent permanently. I'll have to go check on Amazon.
But I've noticed the edge of them chips. It almost gets to where it's like a serrated edge almost. They chip so bad.
The cheap ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you buy yours, are you getting them from Better Bee or Man Lake or someplace like that? Is these still Chinese made from them guys?
Oh, they're all the same.
Bee
Made or Dancing Bee.
Yeah.
Just the same crap.
Those are the ones. Those are the model I got, I think, and never had any problems with it. Not too sharp, and pretty springy. They don't like they don't turn into black foot.
And a U shape.
I swear I can speak English. I swear, but they don't permanently bend. At least for me
We'll
so
just
far.
tell us in French, and we'll better understand it.
Yeah, sure.
Now,
We'll
did-
start speaking gobbledygook.
But you can only use words that's on the cereal box because that's the only French I know.
now, did anybody notice on Bob Binney's latest video on Sunday? The guy that works for him, John. Did anybody notice his hive tool?
I
I don't
noticed-
know. I did.
I noticed the Mark Queen. It was on the second frame in on the first hive.
Well,
Does John have a
so
nice hive tool?
so you know how Bob, when he sticks that hive tool in there to pull up a frame, he gets under the bottom bar
Yeah.
or the top bar.
Yeah.
John's hive tool looks like a banana. It just fits in there perfectly, and he uses it. He uses the edge of the box as
Well,
a
but they're
focal
using the paint scraper hive tool, aren't they? Not the J-hook hive tool.
I don't know. Not that. No, that wasn't a paint scraper. That was a hive tool, a J hook. It was Chinesium, but it was a J hook.
I have no desire for my hive tool to be different in any way. I actually told my wife the other day, I says, you know what? If I ever lose a hand, just have them just stitch a hive tool at the end of my arm. Because the stuff you could do with that thing.
Then you get an eye patch and go, "Arr!"
You can hook things with it. You can scrape things and cut things and wedge things and all kinds of stuff. You can do almost anything with a hive tool.
I find when you put it in your hand now, you never let go of it either. It's there for the day.
Could we?
Well,
if that was the case, Brad, could we start calling you Captain Tool?
Captain Tool. Yeah. Well, yeah, Doug. Early when I started keeping bees, it was an old veteran beekeeper. He said to me, he says, "You know what?" He says, "Learn to don't set your hive tool down," and that's what I do. I'll have my hive tool in my right hand, and I'll do everything with that hive tool in my hand. I'll be picking up frames and stuff, with the hive tool in my hand, and so I rarely will. Lose it, but if I'm going to lose it, it's going to be the Maxent hive tool. There's Chinese ones are everywhere. It's just like, those don't get lost. It's the Maxent ones get lost.
So Randy says Hive IQ has U.S. stainless steel.
Well,
I'm guessing he's talking hive tool.
Yeah, I bought one. I haven't taken it out of the box yet. It looks too nice to take out of the box.
You got to test drive that thing.
So have you used that one, Randy? Have you used it? You have firsthand experience? And I'm looking for, not just something that's, this flow hive one I bought, it's stainless steel. There's nothing major, awesome about that. Is it going to cut my hand, and is it going to bend when I try to pry with it? I don't know that you can bend a Maxent hive tool.
Yeah, I'm watching the video right now, and he's using a paint scraper.
That's a paint scraper. It looked like a hive tool.
Well, it's one like that where you scrape it with. And by the tightness of that pants, that ain't John. That's for sure. That's Lena.
Now, then you're not. So first of all,
behave yourself, Charlie.
To stay on track here, Charlie. The hive tool bent like a banana shape, and it was a hive tool. It wasn't a paint scraper, and it was John. So it fit right perfect. Like he just put the edge of that hive tool underneath that top bar and used the side of the hive as a prior point or whatever, and popped right up.
This is just 2 days ago, right?
Yeah, unless I'm thinking of last week.
It must have been last week, but they got too many tight. Their pants are too tight.
All right, Rodney says unbox it. Okay, I'll do an unboxing on my vlog this weekend. We'll break out the Hive IQ Hive tool, and we'll give it a go and see. I'm not really doing a lot of Hive work these days, is all, so I don't get to put it through its paces. But I'll have a look at it.
Charlie got talking about her, and now he has to leave.
Yeah, Charlie's.
I'll be right
Come
back.
on, Doug. You guys are gonna get me demonetized yet.
Don't talk
Good
about
grief.
that or mashing hive beetles, and you'll be all right.
I was reading an article where mites, they say heat will kill them at about 104 degrees. So I
Yeah.
thought, Todd, you shouldn't have one left.
Yeah. Why do you have any mites at all, Todd?
That's fake news. Unfortunately, fake news.
There's a whole cult following on that stuff, though.
There is, yeah. Well, they have that device you put on the bottom board, and I don't know how
Where
it
it
doesn't
works.
melt comb.
Yeah.
I think it goes up to 105.
Yeah.
But
I
you
don't
know, the bees are in there they're in there like crazy, trying to cool that thing down, eating as much honey as they can because they're wearing themselves out. I don't know what's worse. Melting comb and killing bees and maybe a few mites, or trying to heat the mites out of there. I don't know.
You need to either insulate your hives or paint them white or silver or something.
Yeah.
Wrap them with Reflectix.
Yeah. Well, that's the first time that's happened. It was so hot this summer. It was miserable.
I bought enough Appy tablets. My styrofoam yard, I'll put tablets in 3 and leave 1 empty for the whole yard and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with some this year again too. We'll see. We've got to see what they do.
I just got a case from Bob too.
Well, that reminds me, I might as well say it now. Thanks to Catherine, she sent me a message. I'm having a problem with the shipping portion of my website, and so I took everything down again. It's being fixed, and probably in the next couple of days it'll be up and going. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do no shipping for a little bit on the tablets. And again, I want to say, if anybody has bought tablets from Bob in the past, just please keep buying tablets from Bob. I don't want to take any of you guys away from him. That's not right. So if anybody wants to try him, or anybody that's new to him or wants to try them and has not bought them from Bob, please go to lomavistabeecompany.com and you can get them there. So, but that's in a couple of days. So it's today, Tuesday. I'm sure by Friday for sure it'll be going. My IT person, who happens to be my older daughter, is working on it, but she's also going to school too. So she's got a lot of things going on at Fresno State. So anywho, I'll get there. It's above my pay scale. I have no idea how to do some of that stuff. Well, I do, but not this part.
I used to. My brain's full of bee stuff now, though.
See, look at Sarah's thing here, Brad.
Uh-oh. Brad's getting happy. Look at it. Look at his face.
I got something listed online.
Oh, I'm going to go there and buy them all up.
Todd, don't be like that.
I'll be right back.
Oh, Todd disconnected for some reason. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, man.
How was your yield this year, Brad? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I am actually. Um, a lot of people around here, average or a little below, and I would say that my yield is average or maybe a little above. So I'm quite
Everybody I've talked to
content.
say about 50%.
50%.
Yeah.
That's dramatic.
Yeah, we're not much better than 50. I talked to two guys between me and Ian, and they say 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy that bought my honey was produced. The reason he bought he bought it was he didn't produce enough.
Yeah.
So good for me, not for him.
We delivered our wax down to Elgin the other day, and the price of wax is down too.
Oh, what's wax selling for now?
He said about $3 a pound right now.
Oh,
He
maybe I
said
better buy some.
he said to hold on to it. He's working on a deal with Japan, so we'll see what it comes in at.
Yeah, something strange I noticed about the price of honey. It seems to be going down where everything else is going up. Or am I crazy?
Well, that's farming, right?
I'd like to be able to tell you. I keep emailing BMaid, and they won't respond to an email. They won't respond to phone calls.
Oh, wow.
I'm finding them a terrible bunch to deal with.
Huh.
Yep, there it is. Got the Maxon Hive tool. It's got a round hole in it.
I don't think they have it though. No, I don't think they have it.
So while you guys are figuring that out, a couple of people are saying free shipping, free shipping. Well, here's the way I look at it right now. The owner is doing free shipping right now, so why not do free shipping, right? So that's what you guys get. Unless you want to, like, I could put a tip section in there if you want to throw tips at me or something. I don't know, but I won't do that.
So, what did you say about your yield, Doug? Your yield okay?
We're a little better than 50%.
Wow, that's harsh. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she was quite a drop. So we kept extra back so we can market a lot more locally.
Yeah, it's a bit more work, but the margins are there.
Yeah, you can turn one barrel into about 4.
Yeah.
I've got 5,000 creamed right now, and another load I got to take out this week yet.
It's more stable pricing too.
Yeah.
If bulk honey goes way up suddenly and everybody's happy, everybody's getting $4.50 for honey or whatever. I don't really benefit, but I also don't worry when honey goes down to $1.25, because price on the shelf really doesn't change.
Do you have UPC labels on yours?
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't done that yet, but daughter-in-law's been talking to some of the distributors. If we go that route, they will take a bunch of our honey.
I bought mine from an outfit called Simply Barcodes. I did initially buy from GS1, who's the registrar in Canada, but I can't hardly talk about them and sound nice because they're a very rude and draconian outfit. They accuse you of things and they won't back up what they're saying, and so I dropped them like a hot potato and just bought from Simply Barcodes, and they're legit barcodes, and you own them. With GS1, you pay annually for them.
Yeah.
Whereas Simply Barcodes, you just buy it one time. Sorry, you can hardly see some of this, but I've got a giant cat here. He just walked up.
He's so fluffy.
Boots.
Yeah, Mr. Bootsy. So yeah, Norm's asking where Bob is. Bob's helping out a friend. His dad's at end of life, so he's got to be with his buddy. That's a tough time. That's a really tough
been
time.
there, done that. Not fun.
Yeah, it's really harsh. Got a friend going through that too. It's really hard. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I could see I could put that hive tool in the cart and whatnot. And if you want to be really mean to me, then you can go and buy them all before I get to check out. I'm on a live stream, so
Better hurry.
out of courtesy, I'm gonna try later on. I don't think they have them though. I'm pretty sure I contacted an outfit that advertised them on their website, and they actually said, "Yeah, no, we don't have those." So it is what it is.
You still got a few frames to spin, Brad?
Yeah. Looking at probably, what was it? It's about 90 boxes now, I guess, to go. It takes me a long time though. That old Kelly, it's only 33 frames, so it takes me a long time. It'd be nice to have 2 of them. Maybe I could go faster then.
Brad, I was thinking about those hive tools. Maybe you want to poke around some of these online auctions in your area of, older beekeepers that are, getting out of the business.
Yeah.
They sell everything. They might have 20 smokers and 50 hive tools. You never know.
Well, that's an idea.
I mean, if they're Maxent and they're built to last, then all you have to do
in my off season. I have to do that in my off season.
You always give Ian a couple extra smokers. He's always short one.
Yeah, I mentioned the hive tool problem. He said, yeah, when I found that they were stopped making them, he bought a whole mitt full of them. I thought, yeah, that's why I couldn't find any when I went to the store next time. Norman made apple crumble and he was going to use honey, but he put maple syrup on it instead.
What a crime.
How are we supposed to make any money? So we got some dead air here now. I'm not a very good host. I'm trying to think of things that are new around here, but I don't know. My sugar guy called me today. He called and he says, I got that skid of sugar you wanted. And I said, I don't need it anymore. He said, oh, okay. I said, well, I don't like going back on my word. I kind of asked you to bring that in, but I was desperate. I had to feed my bees. And so I said, I hope it doesn't put you in a bad way if I don't buy it. And he said, bad way? He said, there's 5 guys standing behind you who want this sugar. So that's not an issue at all. He felt kind of bad that he took him so long to get it, but it's the season, right? That's what happens.
Yeah, I've had my sugar since last fall. I bought it before winter.
You plan ahead. I don't. I don't like to get it too early because it'll go hard.
I'm lucky it doesn't do that here. Like the hardest it gets, it's really loose clumps. So you can just crumble them like.
Yeah, you keep it in climate control though.
I keep it in my apartment, in my living room.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that luxury. I can't buy 5,000 pounds of sugar.
Brad, how do you like the Randy Oliver Queens?
I've had mixed results. It's really hard to, really give any review, really.
How'd
I've
they
had
do
quite
honey
the-
wise?
Oh, yeah, they did good honey wise. Sure. Sorry, this guy needs his attention. Yeah, well, I mean, I can say that they were good that way for sure. But I don't know. I had such a busy summer that it's all a blur. I can't, I can't tell what was good and what wasn't.
I like what Brian said. Be like the Game of Thrones, except with bags of sugar.
Okay, I don't really get that reference because I don't know anything about that TV show.
Oh. Brian said Alex has furniture made out of bags of sugar. He's stacking all that sugar up in his apartment.
I had a sugar throne in my living room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now it's mostly gonna have 9 bags left. We'll be
I'm
able
sure
to-
after a while, them bags get kind of personal. They got to fit right along, don't they?
It's just part of the furniture.
We had a pellet carryover from the winter, and they washed the floor in the room it was in.
Oh no.
Actually, it wasn't too bad. You just had to drop it a couple of times, and then it broke. Mind you, we're mixing in a barrel, so we don't have to get it through that little hole like you do.
Yeah. I can't get clumps bigger than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite often this time anyway, when I picked up sugar the previous time, it was raining when I come out of the store, so the bags got a bit wet, but it doesn't really bother it too much. I put it in my wood shop, which I actually put an air conditioner in there, and so it dries the air a bit. So, kind of dried out the bags, and the sugar just sticks to the inside of the bag a little bit. But yeah, Mike, he's a happy boy. His sister's over here grumping away because she's not getting any attention. This guy's December. This guy will be 18 years old.
That's an old cat.
He's an old fella. His health isn't great, and he always tries to grab my hand.
Give me attention. Give me attention.
But yeah, I'm not getting enough attention. But this one over here, I'm inundated with cats here. Sorry. So, but I got all my sugar and mixed up and everything, and then I was doing the math, and I need a little bit more sugar. I really only need 1 bag of sugar, but I don't just want to go and buy 1 bag. It's so unlike me, right? Usually I'm buying 20 or 40 at a time. There's a question for you, Doug.
I got a video on it if he wants to see it, but it's just a pump in a barrel and it circulates. I can pump into the big tank from it or keep circulating in the barrel. Charlie's got one too. Same thing as Charlie, pretty well.
Probably a lot like what I used to use here.
But I can use hot water too, which helps.
Right. I do use hot water, but I don't have enough hot water to make the whole thing, so it's really not that hot.
Well, the advantage of being a really small beekeeper is I can easily use a hot water and make the 2-to-1 mix in the pail.
That
So
makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't fill both apiaries at once. And since it's 15 per yard, it's really easy.
Sorry, I'm trying to host a live chat and keep 2 cats happy at the same time.
Yeah, we heard.
Multitasking.
Is that you purring or them?
It's them. I'm happy to see it, Doug, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Well, my tank mixer has been working really good this year. I haven't pumped any syrup out on the ground,
Yeah, that's a plus.
so that's really good. Last year was a disaster. I lost so much syrup on the ground last year.
I remember that. That's pretty bad.
We have a lot of sow thistle flowering yet, Brad. Have you got that around there?
Yeah, I think it's done though. I think it's done.
I've even seen some dandelions coming out again.
He'll scratch your head for you.
So, how do you know you need to feed 5 gallons? Are all your brood nests look the same when you pull honey? Yeah, they do. 0 stores. That's what they look like. Singles, right? So when you run a single brood chamber, they pretty much just brood. Not a lot of feed in there. There might be 1 frame, maybe a little more than 1 frame, but yeah, they're pretty sparse. So they need to be plugged out, and the research says that they should use about 60. Is it 60 or 65 pounds of stores over the winter here, and that equates to about a 95 pound colony box. So if you lift just the box, it should weigh about 95 pounds. That's a heavy box. And I remember a couple of years ago, I lifted a double by hand after it had been fed up, and that was a pretty stupid move. What's the weight of the feed tank when it's full? Well, really, really heavy. That's what it is. Because I put 40, well, you could do the math, because I put about 200 liters of water, which is 200 kilograms, and then I put 800 kilograms of sugar in it. So, half a metric ton.
A literal ton.
Half a metric ton.
Well, 200 kilograms plus 800 is 1,000, which is a ton, isn't it?
Well, it's metric. 1,000.
2,000's a ton.
2,000 kg is a metric ton.
I didn't know. I thought it was
I'm not sure actually. Well, 1,000. So 2,200 pounds is what that would weigh. And I usually top it up, so it'll weigh a little bit more than that. Oh, Norman, water, 6 pounds, blah, blah, blah. It's metric, man, metric. That's easy.
Well, it's 8 pounds.
A liter's a kilogram. Super easy. 2 to 1. Yeah, 2 to 1. I almost never mix anything that's not 2 to 1. Yeah, too heavy for my tractor. Too heavy for my tractor too. 2,200 pounds. I'd love to have a unit that would lift 2,200 pounds. I can't lift that tote if it has more than about 2 inches of syrup in the bottom of it. Yeah, that's why I put it up on my big heavy-duty trailer. It's really nice because I just close the tailgate on that trailer and go to my out yards and stretch out the feed hose and fill the pails. Sure works nice.
You got that tote strapped down, don't you? I'm sure you do.
I strap it when I go on the road. Mostly a formality, so nobody gives me grief over it. I mean, really, it's not going anywhere. But I suppose even at 2,200 pounds in a trailer, if somebody did something stupid in front of me and I had to hit the brakes real hard, then it might slide up, hit the front of the trailer. That would not be good.
No.
It would be a sweet mess.
Yeah, Russell, that's correct.
2.2, that's right. $65,000. Yeah, skid steer. Yeah, those are not
He'll
cheap.
be on his nose.
I find our tank slides around in the truck. You have to watch it if you're using the brakes or anything.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, I think I've seen in your video. Don't you use your tractor with a set of forks for a tote? Is it? Or is barrels?
I've lifted a smaller tote. Well, not a smaller tote, but the tote. I don't know how many liters. Probably I can lift about 400 liters with my little tractor.
Yeah, but you were putting in honey or something in a tractor and trailer. I think.
Oh, you use I pick up barrels with the tractor all the time. It's handier than the forklift.
Yeah, yours is a bit bigger than mine.
Actually, my tractor's the same horsepower, Brad, but it's in
Yeah,
a
same
bigger
horsepower,
frame.
bigger frame and
Yeah.
probably higher pressure hydraulics and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah, I mean, little tractor, it's got a small loader. You can't, and you lift too much, it just flips over frontwards.
Yeah.
My problem is I do lift some heavy loads sometimes, and every once in a while I feel I need to get off the tractor and do something. But if I got a heavy load, I don't want to lower it to the ground because I can't pick it up again. But I don't want to jump off because, as you can imagine, I offer a lot of ballast to that tractor.
I find out every now and then you have to shift it into 4-wheel drive so it'll move.
Oh yeah, I've done that. I'll pick something up and then go to move, and I can't steer because the tractor just kind of goes sideways. I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite often, with a load, have to run 4-wheel drive. Those puny little front tires carrying all that weight is just incredible.
Yeah, but it does the job too.
Yes, it does. Keep your hands to yourself. And considering that we bought that tractor quite some time before I decided I should keep bees, I didn't buy it for that purpose. And had I might have bought a bigger one because I do regularly wish it would lift more weight. But I'm very pleased with all it does for me, saves my back.
Yeah.
I was lifting a skid out of my honey house today and had 5, 6, 24 extracted boxes on it, and they still weigh a bit because they're sticky, so there's a decent amount of honey still in there, and it weighs a lot. And that is everything that little tractor would lift. Now I was lifting them the long way, so it was 40 inches ahead of the forklift. If I lift the other way, it's not as hard to lift, but the little guy lifted it and moved it out and moved it back in again.
Do you get your boxes to be rubbed clean before you store them?
I used to. I asked Ian about that one year. He said that he doesn't do anything like that. He just stores some sticky. I don't think his is quite as sticky as mine because he's been running a steamer, which cleans them out better.
Yeah, I don't dare leaving them sticky because in winter they're stored in the backyard shed, and I don't want creepy crawlies or mice getting in there.
Yeah, they would be attractive. Mine are in the sea can, so they're pretty secure, and I've been storing them sticky for quite a few years now, and I don't really have any problems.
If I had one of those storage containers, the middle ones, I might not even bother, but I don't. So
Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I have them in, and I used to have them cleaned out, but there's so much fighting and robbing and everything when that happens, and it's a lot of dead bees at the bottom when when they clean them out, and it just doesn't make me feel good.
I don't get that.
I would love to let the bees take all of that sticky honey back to make use of it, but boy, they're so hard on themselves when they do that.
How are the new pallets you made for your honey supers?
Oh, I absolutely love those, Mike. I wish I'd have made those years ago. That's what I was lifting today. That I was saying that I left at 24. Absolutely love them. I'll build a few more for next year.
Save a lot of time too, doesn't it?
It does, and the fact that they're that right size, they're the same width as a two-way pallet. So I'm putting everything in my honey house, and everything lines up exactly right. Um, I don't have a square foot of extra space in there, right? So those pallets have just changed my life as far as handling boxes and whatnot. And I determined that they'll go in the sea can sideways. You know, that there's 80, like sideways they're 81. I think they're 40 and a half long, so they're 81, and that'll go in side by side in the sea can, which is good because then they're 33 and a half deep. They're the short way deep. And I'm really looking forward to tucking them all away in there, nice and compact.
This year, if you'd have left your stickies out for the bees to clean out, you'd have been just full of wasps and bald-faced hornets.
Well, that too. Yeah, there's lots of those here.
Wicked this year.
Yeah. I wouldn't say here that they are as bad as I've seen it.
Oh, they are here.
There's enough of them, but it's been worse. I'm thankful because they attacked the colonies too.
Yeah. Yeah, they were real ugly here.
I actually pulled up three hives today that were cleaned out. I think the hive was queenless and just kind of dwindled, but it doesn't have to dwindle very far before they get robbed out, right?
Yeah.
So open the lid and I thought, oh, what's going on in here? Open the lid and it's pretty obvious that all the bees in there are robber bees, right? I say, well, okay, this one's done.
I had something like that. 2 of my hives lost their queen and went drone layers.
Yeah.
Like I opened and there's a lot of drones. Then I keep digging and there's more and more drones. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm harvesting those before they get robbed out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, what are you going to do? I just hope that's not a trend, right? That's what happened last year. It was just every time I went to the apiary, there was just more dead outs and more dead outs and more dead outs. It just kept dying on me. It was just awful. It was so heartbreaking because there's nothing I could do, and I knew what was coming, right? So this past spring, when I pulled 3 colonies out of the building, there was no surprise. I knew that was going to happen, in the fall. There's nothing I could do.
Well, I hope they do better this year. Did you manage to breed from the survivors? A few more hives?
I was unable to make any queens this year. I really wish I could have. I've got one out there that's one of the survivors, and it had extremely low mite count. And I really wish I could have gotten some queens off of that one.
Yeah, well, here's to hoping they survive all winter and you can breed from them.
Yeah, if they survive this winter, I'll be grafting in April. Get some queens off of that one. That's what I need. Don't everybody talk at once.
Have you heard anything of James this year for the last month?
I was working today and I was looking at those survivors or James McNally's, and I'm thinking I haven't heard much from James lately. He's just busy, I guess.
Yeah.
He should pop in with us some night.
Yeah, he stopped in there that one night with me for a second or two and said they got a bunch more to extract and stuff at that time.
Yeah, he grew a lot though, so he's probably like in over his head right now, extracting.
You know, the thing of it is, he got a new extraction line. I think he's got all that up and running. I'm not sure.
He was pretty late extracting for having where he is, where there's canola.
Yeah, canola honey.
I think he had some issues about getting, what is it? You guys have to be approved, the health department, whatever.
Well, he's CFI approved in his plant.
Our inspector this year, we've got that bubble wrap insulation around our big storage tank, and the seam I've got sealed with duct tape. That didn't pass inspection. She said you can use Gorilla Tape, but we can't use duct tape.
That's funny because there was duct tape before Gorilla Tape. So what did they do
Exterior
then?
insulation. What's the problem?
Oh, I don't know.
They gotta find something.
Oh, she's quite a character, this thing.
So, what's your average surviving rate, not including last year? It's a tough question. I've been all over the map. I've had 0 loss. That's my first winter. I had 0 loss. How about that? I've had 5% or less. Generally, I'll run 15 to 20% loss. I'm gonna say that. That's what it's been. I've had a rough few winters. I was just thinking about that today too. You know, the winter of 21-22, I wintered quite well. I think I had about 15% loss, but that was the spring that my colonies had very high nosema counts, and they just dwindled and started dying. They made it through the winter. They made it to May, and they just dwindled out and started dying on me. And it was interesting because that was happening to Ian too, exactly the same time. And so I got some antibiotics, and that fixed that up real good. My nosema count right now is almost 0. It's extremely low.
Probably average on the prairies is about 20%.
Yeah. It is actually 20. Yeah, 21. I think was about the Manitoba average.
Mr. Bootsy does not like nosema. Tells you to shh.
Yeah, he keeps grabbing at me. He gets away with anything at his age. Of course, my honey is the best, right? I have at least one person on here can corroborate that statement.
It didn't last very long here.
Todd's had
And
it.
if I was smart, I would have used it for a seed, but
Yeah, it was nice.
my sweet tooth told me otherwise.
Yeah,
I said
it's
that.
typically a lot of sweet clover in my honey, and last year's honey, I've saved a couple of boxes for myself, even though I really don't eat honey because it's just spectacular. It's just beautiful, beautiful sweet clover honey.
It was good.
No, that's an interesting question from Zach.
No, we're not even going to go there, Zach. The answer is no, and that's all we're going to say on that.
Yeah, and Charlie's honey is really good too. I like that crop you had last year. I didn't order any this year. Dang it. But what was that again, Charlie, last year? Well, what is it?
Mostly locust honey.
Locust, yeah. Oh man, that's
There's my bottle right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Roy asks, does wintering in a shed promote nosema? I don't know. I don't think so. But, you know, I don't know everything.
I'm gonna say it probably does, because I was reading a study where the spores were actually spreading out in the yard even.
I remember you telling me about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was surprised when they said, like, they were testing different plants in the yard and there was nosema spores on the plants. So it must spread by air or, well, bees. Actually, they had sticky hanging in the yard and it was collecting spores. So it was being
No
spread
kidding.
by air.
That's interesting.
Huh.
That definitely is interesting. So your yard is a nosema haven.
Wouldn't that make your winter shed really a nosema haven too?
Well,
if the spores are
maybe.
being
maybe.
trapped in a room.
Yeah, maybe. There's not a bunch of wind and stuff in there. The bees don't fly, so there's not that.
But there's air exchange.
There's
It'd
air
be-
movement for sure.
It'd be interesting for them to do a study in the sheds to see.
Mark, I'll go, Mark.
I don't think there's any registration for apiary to lower nosema, whether it does or not.
Well, citric acid will kill nosema spores, won't it? Real strong citric acid. So maybe your other acid
I
treatments
think
might.
formic acid should kill it then, eh?
Yeah.
So, Alex, there's a question on screen for you.
Yeah, I'm typing an answer.
Oh,
Well,
you
may as well answer
verbalize it.
while I'm talking.
Share it with us.
Yeah, nosema, honestly, I don't know, but from the looks of the hives, very few had like visible traces of nosema, like the smeared entrances. It was pretty much non-existent, and for mites, for the past 3 years, I've been having zeros and ones.
Dysentery is not a symptom of nosema serena.
Okay.
So if you're using
Then the
that
answer
as
is I
an
don't know.
indication of whether you have it or not, then you won't know by that.
But yeah, mites have been always
Andre,
very little.
you're at Lac du Bonnet. You're 30 miles east of me. When do you know to stop feeding? We're over wintering outside in single and double brood boxes, and they are nicely plugged out with sugar syrup. Yeah, well, that sounds right. Like I said, a single will weigh 90 to 100 pounds, so you can kind of go on that, and then a double obviously way more than that. I find if I can get 5 gallons in, I'm good. And I like to get the 5 gallons into them early. I have often been late feeding. And I can feed up till, nearly November usually. But the problem with that is you not only have to get them to take the feed, they need to cure it. Because if that feed is not cured in the hive, it very, very well may spoil in the hive. It'll go sour, and then that will give the bees bad stomachs and can kill the colony over the winter. So you have to get them fed so that then they can cure the feed. I'm glad that we've got some warm weather coming up because that'll help them cure the feed that I'm giving them. So I'll kind of be checking on some of those stores here in the next week or two.
I'd also say if he's on bottom boards, just get used to feeling that weight. Lift up the back end, and
Yep.
it takes a a year or two to kind of remember that in your head, like, oh yeah, that feels right.
If you can almost not lift it, then it's enough.
If it's a double, yeah.
Oh, a double. Oh boy. Okay, Mister starting to fuss, so we better put him down. All right.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight, everyone, and I had a great chat. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Mike.
Hey,
Appreciate that.
Mike.
Nice to see you.
Mike,
Good seeing you all.
Take
Good
care.
to see Mike.
yeah, for the way I deal with mites is I usually, like I answered by text, but I usually treat with either Apivar or Formic and immediately follow by 2 or 3 blasts of oxalic acid. And this year, I'm gonna top it off with an Api tablet for once everything's done and I'm about to button up the hives. I'll just plop one of those pucks in each hive.
Yeah, I think that should be good. Last winter I had them in a number of my colonies, and I don't think they did them any negative effects to the colony.
Yeah, just remember the dosing in the fall. It's usually I just put some on last Saturday, and then I'll go back next month, 4 weeks after, and put another one on. That's the recommended dosing.
So Todd, since you're a distributor, you maybe know a little more than I do about them. I put a half a tablet. I actually broke them in half on my 6-frame nukes.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at some of them today, and they're definitely chewing away at them.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe another half before winter.
If they get rid of that half within 2 weeks, yeah, put the other half on there, and then you're good to go.
So then if it's there a month later, then if it takes them a month to get rid of it,
Yeah,
what the world is that?
that's a duck.
That was my phone.
Typically, what's needed is
So if it's gone before I button them up, then go ahead and put another half on there.
if it's gone, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Typically, what you want
think-
is that thing to be on there for at least, more than 3 weeks. 4 weeks is ideal, and then for 5 or 6 frame nuke, you put a half on there. Same thing.
When
So-
we're done feeding, I don't like to crack the lid again.
Yeah,
I like to
Yeah.
leave it sealed up here.
yeah.
If you have a big enough or a high enough entrance, you could slide them underneath and poke them back there with like a coat hanger or something. Get them back there a little bit.
Sure.
They'll get well. Actually, they'll be hanging down on the bottom board a little bit too during the winter, so it's within reach.
So
I've
Flower
seen-
Street, Brian, he say that he's seeing the well propolized tablets from the first round. I've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah. And what I do is most of the time I see them propolize it to the top bar, but I've had some hives that have got very creative and covered the whole thing. So
Yeah.
what I do is I'll take it out and I'll just take my very dull hive tool and I'll kind of score it a couple times and then break it apart and then distribute it out again so there's more surface area for them to get.
Right.
But yeah, they'll more than absolutely will propolize it to the top bars, but there'll be a few hives, and you might want to identify them as Caucasians because they love to propolize things. You might have a couple of hives that do that where they try to cover the whole tablet. Another thing, if you're running doubles and you put one on, let's say you put one on a month ago, let's just pretend it's fall. You put one on a month ago and you go back 30 days later and you lift the top box up and you don't see anything on the top bars of the bottom box. Make sure you check the bottoms of the top box because they might have propolized it to that instead of the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've actually done that mistake a couple of times where I'm like, well, how come this box is not sitting back down? And I look at it, and I realized that they had glued it to the bottom of the top box. So
Yeah, I had that problem with Formic Pro.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
You must have a bit of a flow coming in yet if they're propolizing only, wouldn't you?
Thanks,
yeah.
Roy.
Well, there's trees I know around here, and probably Brian has them too. There's trees that will.
I actually saw pollen yesterday. I just caught a
Well,
glimpse
I
of
think
one
that's-
bee, and she was bringing pollen yesterday. That was weird.
Yeah. I've seen them when the south is so when they're bringing pollen here yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had pollen
You know,
too.
Mark, I'm sorry, Alex, but Mark came up with a really good suggestion that I never really thought of. Is that maybe smear a little honey on it? That would get them to finish it off. I don't know. That's a good idea, actually. I might try. I might fiddle with that.
What you say you're breaking them in half for a 6-frame nuke? Why don't you just put the whole thing on there and be done with it?
I don't know. I just thought, I'll break it in half. I don't know. It just might be a little bit too overpowering for a small unit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
I
typical
wasn't
dose
told
for
to do anything like that. I just did it.
the typical dose for a nuke, and 5-frame nuke is standard. So half a tablet. I mean, but I'm going to monkey around with the dosing this coming year. I've said it before. I think there needs to. Well, I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm going to monkey around with it just on my own little backyard science experiment and see what I get. But yeah, that's what the dosing is for nukes.
Oh, it's actually half?
For 5-frame nukes, it's half.
Oh, for 5. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think I
Six
think when I
frame, you're not.
if I use Aprivar next year, like you say, late July, I think that's or right after I take the supers off, throw one of them tabs on there and see if I because number one, you're not getting you might be getting feed in from a nectar source.
Yeah, but not a major flow, probably. This time of the
Flow
year.
would be over,
Yeah.
but also it'll help along with the Aprivar,
Yeah. Yeah.
possibly.
And you could do that too.
Randy puts a whole tablet in 4-frame nukes.
I think that's what Brian said he's been doing on his 6-framers.
I did. I put them on 5.
I
With
think
a-
they're pretty mild. The off-gassing
Yeah.
off a tablet is not dramatic.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
Hey, Kim. Yeah, I mean, mine are 5/5, so I don't have any problem with that.
Randy's used a whole bunch of it. I think he's ordered a whole bunch of it in the past, and he'll tell you that he sees good results with it. It's something you notice. Charlie, remember last spring putting on the Apis Biologics, and you could just tell there was different. I mean, we both saw bees boiling out of the hives, but it's like I've said before, trust your eyes and your ears. When you go into a sour colony, they have a different hum to them, and they're pissed. But after putting a tablet on these things to help them, cleanse the hive, stay healthy, they're calmer. They have that different tone to them, and you'll also get a bump.
I haven't seen that yet in mine.
Well, you just put those on last week, didn't you?
A couple weeks ago, yeah, the most.
Yeah, you got to give them a couple weeks. I mean, you'll notice it. You'll hear a difference, and you'll see a difference too. That they're calmer on the comb. They're healthy. So it's like us. If we're sick, we feel like crap and don't want to do anything. It's the same with the bees. If
New 2 years, 200 hives.
they're mad. Yeah, see, he's used it. All right, Randy, I'm going to quiz you. So,
Randy needs to come in and talk about this
Mhm.
incognito.
but yeah, it's a nice tool in the toolbox. Let's just say that it's really good, and it's really starting to catch momentum too. And more people are trying it. More and more people are asking Mehmet about it.
I just love the application. I take the thing, I put it on there. That's it. There's no paper for them to haul out. There's
Yeah.
nothing for me to go in and scrape off and remove.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst parts about this formic treatment I'm using is those little dry lock pads. There's a lot of plasticky parts in them, and I've noticed that the bees are actually doing a pretty good job chewing that up and taking it out, but it takes a while. So I scrape them off and take them out. It's really hard to scrape those off the top bars, and that's the part that slows me down. The first round of treatment with that is super easy, and then it gets a little harder to take the old ones off.
When I first, basically the whole reason why I started selling them was because I know a few commercial guys around here. I know a guy that's got 1,200 hives, another guy that's got 1,800, another guy that's got another 1,200. And this summer, there's a new neighbor across the street. His dad has 5,000 colonies. And so, unfortunately, he's well, how can I say this? He likes the idea that I pitched, and it was exactly what Brad said. Look, if you have 5,000 colonies, you're going to be paying a lot of labor costs to take out a pad or a strip or something like that. But with these things, and of course, this is just a health treatment, nothing else. You don't have to take it back out. You just leave it in there. It's one and done. The bees take care of it. And he saw the tablets. They're just a tad thick. And this guy runs 5,000 colonies with lids that don't have rims or shims on them.
Yeah.
What he does is he puts a pollen patty on top of those frames, and they just mash down the lid so it goes through the frames.
Well, he just needs to slide it in the bottom. That's all.
Well, I told him that, or in between the frames, so something. But we're kind of talking about it still. But
yeah,
most of the guys here are receptive to it. They just haven't jumped over yet.
Well, I'm a believer. You try it,
Yeah.
You just try it. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying. I have no, results, and I have.
The other thing I can say is, like Todd says, and everybody else says, they're a little too thick, and I put it on over top of 2 frames, and then the 2 frames that are on the box above that will pop up, not where you can't close it or nothing.
Right.
But you gotta, the box is sitting there teeter-totter until I take my hive tool, break the ears apart on the end to let that box go down.
Correct.
And it kind of, you can see they're, 1/8 of an inch up, and then go ahead and close it up.
If those rabbits have been cut deep enough on the side of the box, they're going to cover. The top bars, are not the same depth as the rabbits, but
some of the top bar was just up a 1/16 or so.
Well, that's
where
what
my inner cover, you could kind of hook it on there, but it all closed up. It was fine.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is when the ears lay flat on that rabbit, you got that 1/8 inch or so from the top of the top bar to the top of the box, right? That's your little extra that covers the tablet. But if your boxes if the rabbits aren't cut that deep, then they're the end of the top of the frames are gonna be a little above the level of the box. But if you have a rim, you know, on that lid, it's gonna take care of that.
Yeah, I
too.
found it on top. Like my shims on my lids are 1/2 inch, and the
Mhm.
tablet is, I think the tablet's about 5/8.
Mhm.
But with the Reflectix inner cover
Yeah.
I have no issue whatsoever.
Did you see Mark's question, Todd?
A case is a case count is 240 tablets. That's oh wait, I've got it written down here. 240 per case, so that's 24 sleeves. And then the cost is, right now the owner has it on his website. I believe it's $625 free shipping. So, I mean, I could do that too, but just to be honest, Mark, he's closer. So it would probably get there.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah.
That is
Not
wow.
really. I mean, Mark's in Tennessee, West Tennessee, I think.
Not cheaper shipping because it's free shipping on the Met side, but it probably time wise it would be faster, you know.
44 bucks a sleeve here
Yeah.
Wow. 44 a sleeve. Well,
Yeah.
on sale.
But that's not a case
No,
price. Like
that's
Todd
it.
was
Yeah.
quoting a case price.
Let me make sure because
Mark should probably go through Bob though, wouldn't you think?
Yeah,
Well,
for
Bob- Bob
sleeves,
is
I
right
cost me
there, yeah.
161.
Let me see. Yeah, case price is $625. 24 packs of
Yeah,
10.
240. That's you keep some people going a long time.
And the shelf life is 2 years on those. And then I'm glad we have this conversation because some people, if they buy 10, well, they buy one sleeve and they have 2 hives, they're going to open it up and they're not going to use all 10. So what you need to do is you need to either put the sleeve in a gallon Ziploc baggie, it'll fit in there diagonally, or you could take the tablets out and put them in the baggie, and then you put the baggie in the freezer, and they'll keep really good in frozen.
So this is a really good question, Roy, but that's really a question for the manufacturer.
And I've asked that question. I can answer it.
He obviously, you can answer that.
Yeah.
Well, it would likely be more brittle, right?
It will crack. Yeah, that's why he won't. You really can't make them smaller than the hockey puck size they are right now because of breakage, and not only breakage in the hive, but shipping.
And to retool to do that was probably
Yeah, big time money. So the answer to this question is, I have not used them since this time. September 24th. This time last year is about. Well, no, I take it back. The second week of October is when I used the tablets, and when I used the tablets, I took the pads off. So I haven't used those pads. I haven't used OA extended release pads for almost a year. So you can run them. You can run them together, I'm sure, but don't quote me on it. I don't think there would be too much interaction between any of that stuff.
are your people in Manitoba testing the extended release acid pads?
I don't think I know anybody who has been using that, Doug. Yeah, I don't think I know anybody. Or do you mean the KRTP?
Well, them too, yeah.
Yeah. That I thought they would be, but I don't think I've heard anything from them either on that. I think there has to be a sponsor for the work to do that, like somebody's trying to register it. Yeah, I don't think they're testing that right now.
Okay, so Randy uses both. That's good to know.
That's OA pads and appy tablets.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have that info.
Yeah.
Nothing like experience, right? To
Yeah. Yeah.
give credence to some, a method or whatever. And that's why these formic pads, I've heard about these a lot, but I've got these couple guys in the association who've been coaching me on it, and they've used it for years, and they really, really like the treatment and the results. So I think I'm just going to settle in on this for a while. I'll get
Yeah, I
back
mean,
to
I put the pros on for those 2 weeks, and I had them IPM boards bringing them out underneath, the chloroplast boards, and you can see some hives really dropped the mites, and some of them didn't have too much. But I mean, I think formic acid definitely does a good job of killing mites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
My
Not
only concern with that is shutting down the queen, and we need, our winter bees are late August, early September.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a little concerned about that, Doug, because I have to feed my bees, so I've had to have the feed on and using formic acid. Have I shut my queens down at a bad time? And queen shuts down, and you're feeding them hard, and then they backfill, and she won't start up again. And
Yeah.
maybe I've done a terrible thing. I don't know.
but now in your last video, you see, was that a queenless hive that you figured one didn't have no queen and no brood in that first inspection?
I've considered that, Charlie, and I didn't think so at the time, but I'm not going to say definitively yet. I will check it again when I'm done. We'll see what's
But
going on in
I
there.
mean, are you seeing them slow down in queen, egg laying and stuff
Oh
now?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
there's
kind
a
of
gap,
seen.
right? There's a gap. You've got some sealed brood and you've got some mature open brood, and then you've got nothing. And then maybe a time later you'll have some eggs. So there's that gap in there of a number of days of no brood. They'll pull it back, they'll cannibalize it when things get
Yeah, I
too out of
thought I'd
hand.
seen a little bit of that in formic those 2 weeks. But now also when I was pulling it, I was pulling frames. Oh, here's a frame of larvae, older larvae, some eggs. I'm like, okay, well, we got a queen, so that's all I really wanted to see.
Yeah, when I harvested my honey this weekend, I took the time to check all my hives. Except, well, by the time I was done, like the last 3, I couldn't because it was too dark. But they all had eggs, except for the 2
Hey,
drone layers that I dumped.
eggs is Fringlish, isn't it?
Yeah,
Frankly.
That's a thing. Fringlish is a thing.
yeah. Problem with being bilingual. I've been toying with Japanese a bit. Nothing serious, but
Oh goodness.
yeah, that language is something else. It's so
Konnichiwa.
fascinating, though.
Yeah,
That's the end of my Japanese.
Mandarin Chinese.
So what are you going to do? Grow one of them globs of hair off the back of your head there, Alex?
No.
I only know one Japanese word, and that's for diaper. Sakapupi.
Sakapupi.
That's
a good one. Well, on that note, I think we should start to wrap this up. We're just over 2 hours. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for taking part. I appreciate everybody in the comments. That was a really good conversation. And thanks to everybody who appeared on the screen here as well. I appreciate you taking part and making this so that I didn't have to host this all by myself. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the participation. That's awesome. So, any parting words? No?
Right?
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up then. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, hit the like button if you don't mind. I'd really appreciate that. And we will catch you another time. maybe we'll do this again another Tuesday night sometime, but you never know. So
Good night.
until then, what are we on, Charlie? Are you on Friday night again?
Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Yep.
Friday night, Sawmill Charlie live stream. And otherwise, we'll say goodnight. Say goodnight, everybody.
See y'all
Say
later.
good, everybody.